Okay, hi, welcome to the Community Podcast. And we've been doing these series of roundtables with different sections of the community and trying to get their feelings on the state of the nation that we're in right now. And obviously, one of the high points is Black Lives Matter, but we feel we wanted to continue this conversation with people that matter, and that is the young. So I'm very thankful for getting these young people together. I would like to thank personally Miriam Musa for helping out with that. So let's have them introduce themselves. So we'll start there at the top there, Clara.
Hi. So I'm Clara Mbirimi. I'm 21 and I'm a student and an actor.
Right, with the Royal Court Theater, right? Hey, they'll bury the lead. Right? Thank you, Clara. All right, so then Amara.
Hi, I'm Amara. I'm 22. I am from Liverpool, but I'm now London-based, and I work for Fully Focused Productions. I'm their social media coordinator. I do all the promotion and stuff for our films, and we're all about being youth-led and youth-focused. That's me.
And working with the young people and creating their own projects is fantastic. And we'll get her to give you like, the social media handles later. All right. And then my favorite one, come on, Blue, hit us with it.
Hello, I'm Blue Saints. Everyone calls me Blue. I'm a music writer, performer, singer, songwriter, rapper, spoken word artist, and poet and designer. And I'm 25, and I've been performing since I was 13.
Nice one. Well, first of all, like I said, I want to thank you guys for joining me today on this podcast, because I really think that when I've been encouraging to, carry the conversation forward, I've been talking to several different adults of different diversities and everything, but I really felt this is a young person topic, because what's happening today is huge compared to, like, I'm old, so I can't remember the civil rights movement, but I was a kid, baby. And now what's going on really feels like a movement that's very important. And I definitely want to hear your opinions on it. So Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, obviously it became out of crisis, what happened to George Floyd, but George Floyd was only one of several incidents involving the police and black men and everything else like that. But it was probably that thing that spilled over to enough is enough. And not only were people protesting and marching in the States, but then they started to do it over here in Liverpool as well as England. So, I mean, can you just tell me, how does this affect you guys? I mean, as far as how important it is right now to have your voices heard. Anyone could start.
Well, it's around racism is something that's always been there, and so it's just like Will Smith said, my paraphrase, the differences just being captured by video. So me, like being black myself, I've experienced it from can't even remember when, like, from a really young child, and it both direct and also subtle racism. So yeah, watching the video and also seeing the amount of protests that have been going on has definitely affected me and empowered me to see. Like you said, this has been going on for years, even before George Floyd. It's just George Floyd was the straw that broke the camel's back. Mm-hmm. And maybe the fact that we're in COVID now as well, and everybody's stuck inside, it's unescapable. You can't avoid the news that's happening. Like, obviously before COVID, this would happen and people would just bat their eye, or like it'd be something in the peripheral, something that they won't really think about. But because you can't escape it, now you're seeing it. It sparks people to really band together and to notice that this runs deeper than just just the past few weeks. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, no. I mean, definitely. What about you there, Clara?
It's so difficult because obviously we're really upset about it and we're angry as well, but I feel like this is what we needed to really make sure people understand racism hasn't gone away. It still is a thing, and it's good to see so many people, like, you know, coming together and supporting the Black community, seeing our friends, you know, white people, other people of different races, all coming together to support us, because racism is a big, massive problem, and I think people had forgot about it for a long time. But now it's been brought back up. But it's just such a shame that, you know, it's took so many lives being taken for people to realize that racism is still an issue.
Yeah, yeah. Amara?
Yeah, definitely agree with both of you and what you were saying there. I think what you're saying, Blue, as well about Corona and the kind of circumstances. I heard someone word it as the perfect storm, because there's hundreds of cases like this. This is not even the 100th probably case of police brutality caught on camera, and then you've got all the ones that aren't caught on camera. And I've always been quite aware of those issues, and I don't feel like a lot of people have. I think Corona, as you said, has actually woke people up because they've not been distracted by their day-to-day lives. Like, so many people have just went, oh yeah, that's sad, and moved on. And this time feels like it might, I hope to God it is, this might be the difference that actually follows through. I'm so worried about the momentum being lost and people just going back to their day-to-day lives and going, oh, well, I attended a protest, so I did what I needed to do. And, you know, not continuing the fight into policy changes, into continuing to have conversations with family, into pushing for education and every other aspect. We have to make sure that we keep going. So I think most of all, I'd say I'm really, really cautious. That's what's really made me, because I'm really worried that those conversations won't carry on and that it'll just get swept up in lockdown. And then once life goes back to normal, we'll continue to act like what we've solved racism. No, it's not that simple. It doesn't just go away.
No, it's true. I mean, like, we have a Pac-Man mentality. You know, it's kind of like, that was that, and then we're on to the next thing. And it seems like that's what's happening now. For example, it's like I saw breaking news where in Parliament they want to pass a law to stop protesting because I don't know, you've done enough now, and move on from it. And it's crazy because actually, I can understand, you don't have to have like a million marches, just to have your point heard. But what's great is that there's outlets that are providing that for people, but not enough. I mean, social media, like what we're doing right now, we don't have to be the only ones that are doing it. It should be continued on. And when you say that, like when Clara said, yeah, like racism always been around, and it's now it's that whole thing of what's always been the case in the past is that people who weren't Black didn't think it was their issue. So oh man, that's really sad, right? Because I mean, if I hear somebody's murdered, of course that's sad, but then they don't do anything. It's like, I call it sitting on the fence. I'm calling it as I call it. I see it as I see it. I see people sitting on the fence. But now people have gotten down off the fence and they're choosing to speak to somebody about it. So let's just say, for example, have any of you been approached by someone, saying, hey, can you tell me, what is this stuff all about? Like, we'll get into like things like privilege and stuff, but have you had the conversations? Have people approached you? Because it's happened to me. I walk into a room with one of white people and then they say, hey, can we talk to you about something? Okay, sure. Right? But I'll have that conversation because it's like, let's be honest, man. Let's have that discourse. So has anything happened to you guys around that?
Yeah, that's happened.
Have that conversation.
That's happened. Yeah, that's happened to me even before the events that happen now. It's just happened more so after the events, post the events that's been going on. But yeah, that like for instance, talking about white privilege, I remember somebody, a white person, had asked me what did I think about white privilege, and they were talking about how they didn't feel like they had white privilege and not give like hate and and hopefully they came to some sort of understanding. But yeah, after I released a spoken word piece as well, like a day after Blackout Tuesday, or I think it was a day before, I can't remember when. After I received some messages, but I remember somebody that said that they didn't realize just how from the spoken word piece, and then more research, and they hadn't realized just how deep the racism and police brutality had like how deep, and the history behind it, like all the way to Rodney King and such. So yeah, I've had those occasions.
Well, what about you, Amara? Because I mean, like in your job, I mean, I know like you've been home and stuff like that, but you know, did young people ever approach you, or was the conversation encouraged, or did you find yourself in that position?
Yes, so a conversation really did start for us. We have a young team that's really diverse and a real mixture of people, and we started first having a conversation. We have our weekly chats with our young team every Thursday anyway.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that over video calls since lockdown, and we've took a few sessions aside really to just kind of address how people are feeling and think about what we can do, because a big part of our organization is involving young people in every step of our productions, really from scratch through to screen, and the same for what organizations can do in situations like this. So that's where we came to the conclusion that we would have a conversation in a YouTube live that we did the week before last with a mixture of creative people, professionals in the industry, and we just started our own conversation to begin thinking of, okay, what are all the different issues? What are the different forms of racism that people have dealt with, from the daily to institutionally, all the different broad feelings and experiences people have had. So then we can begin to have a conversation about how we can be a part of the solution, what the solutions are, and we're starting first in our own heads with like the UK, obviously, because I think a big thing is you're seeing lots of focus on America, and people are saying, well, Britain doesn't have the same problem, or it's not as much, and that's not true. It's not true at all. It's just a bit more in your face on the media, the American side of it, but it's still very much prevalent here. We still have police brutality here. There are still plenty of stories and people who have lost their lives in police custody because of situations, and there's not enough education on it, and there's not enough awareness of it, and I think there's plenty to even think about that we need to do at home at the base of the UK, and how we really start to educate people and have those conversations at home and in school, in the media, and government and in policies, which really need to change and everything.
Yeah. What about you, Clara? I mean, from that young perspective, I mean, like being able to ask questions, or, what kind of questions do you find that are being asked, or, or could be asked in this particular example? Because, for example, when schools continue in the fall, for example, teachers might feel, hey, maybe is this a safe topic to start? But what do you think around that from a young person? If a teacher did want to engage, what would your advice be?
I think it should be something that should be getting discussed now. It should be like a topic in school, like we said before. It should be getting raised up in school and become an actual topic. It should be getting taught Black history. I think questions for young people should be about not just like white privilege, but everything around it, everything regarding race just needs to be discussed, because I don't think people are that educated about it. I don't have many conversations about it really. No one really asked me about, what does racism mean? What does white privilege mean? But I would like to have more discussions about it, because not everyone is educated on it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because I mean, I was having a discussion with someone on one of these podcasts, and he was like, he wasn't saying, I'm kind of like, offended by this white privilege thing, sounds bad. Unfortunately, it's true, bruh, right? But still, it's like you have to label something for people to have an understanding about what are we talking about. So white privilege is about the fact that if you look at it, it's like, because Black people don't have the privilege of something that white people have the privilege of. So you're labeling it white privilege because, it's like, someone just told me, what was it, last night, about there was a Black guy who was shot in his car while sleeping by cops, right? Now, I'm like, now, I did not hear this story. Now, of course, he was parked, what they will say, illegally, right? I mean, guy pulled off, I mean, who knows why, but he was sleeping in his car, and they shot him. So white privilege is like, you have this ability to be able to move like normal, regular, everyday people. Black people are normal, everyday people. They should have the same ability, but they don't, because they are being killed or being attacked for doing something that is simple. Yeah, I do that every day. That's white privilege. It's not about like you're privileged because you're rich. You know what I mean? It's not that, I mean, what would you say to that, Blue?
Yeah, it's more to do with that as well, and also the opportunities that are afforded to you due to like, for instance, I'm sure you already know, of course, Chase, but it's just like if you look at the way if you look at the slave trade, for instance, and the fact that the buildings and cities that are around us were built off the backs and deaths as well of Black people, and yeah, so it's like I'm using the slave trade as an example, and the wealthy via that, and because of that, you got given kind of like a head start. I don't understand. So it's just like so that's just about using the experience, but then just also just in everyday life, like you say, like if it's just like you're going to the shop, or like you get because I don't know, like you instantly stereotyped and seen as a person who wouldn't be.
Yeah, everybody always tells that story about being followed around a shop, and people think, nah way, but it's true, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And it's any random shop, it's like
Yeah.
it's crazy, because it must be something in their training. If you see a Black person in the shop by themselves, and they're moving around the back, you need to at least like make yourself visible, so that way they know that you're there. And it's kind of like, why? You know what I mean? Are you saying white people don't shoplift? Because that must be what they're saying in their training, right? And stuff. And I mean, come on. We've seen all the movies where, you know what I mean, where a white girl is like stealing some clothes on the So it's just,
or if you've got a car,
or if you got a what?
If you've got a car that looks like, if you've got a car and it looks too it looks expensive, it's like, oh, how there's no way you afforded this, you must have stolen it. It's like things like that. So yeah. But I just wanted to piggyback off really quickly as well. I was going to say I did have a conversation, something similar to this on Friday, with my sister Lena, my older sister. She created she's got a project called I Am a Voice, and we had a discussion, and we talked about different races as well, Blacks and whites, and we just had a discussion around BLM, but also just around racism and institutional racism, as well as just everyday racism.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off Clara, I wanted to also say, and also like Black history, people forget, is history. It doesn't just affect me; it affects everybody around me. Just in the ways as you study about, because I'm going for different ideas right now. But another thing that I constantly like hear is when it comes to the war, and it's like, you know, you're being or whatever else, it's like you're forgetting that Black people and people of color also went to fight in the war too. So it's just
it's also the early achievements. I mean, you could run off a whole list of inventions, of creations, or importance that Black people have attributed to not just England, but Americas, or patents, or science, or anything. You're right, but it's not in the history book of whatever history you're being taught in class. And I mean, obviously, I don't know what you're being taught in class as far as history is concerned, but I've heard that they only take part certain sections, you know what I mean? Like from like the Tudors, or you might only deal with slavery, but you might only deal with, you know, when Lincoln was slave, but you're not looking at anything else. Do you know what I mean? So you're getting a very distorted view of his story, you know. But also too is like, Amara, and I'm not asking you this for any particular reason, but you know, when we talk about like white guilt, right? You know, again, people look at it, hey man, come on, man, that sounds negative when you say white guilt. But what it is that, I mean, obviously, like if a white person is upset just as much as a Black person is by what happens, or what's been happening. And then, you know, some people say, oh, it's over white guilt that they want to like do something. But it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, man. Isn't this your problem too? Like, isn't this a person, you know, that has been lost, and that means that cop had committed a crime, and because of the blue protection of the law, right? You know, like police are constantly protected by what they do, yeah? Especially in this Chauvin case with George Floyd. It's wrong. So, but people go, well, white guilt is because I feel guilty for what other people do. It's like, come on, man. You know, it's an insane thing. But have you heard of this white guilt term? What's your impression about it?
Yeah, I've heard of the term. I've had conversations around the term and stuff. It doesn't in any way offend me because it's an important topic to have. We were saying before about like white privilege and conversations about that. I've had quite a few conversations with people about that, and trying to explain it is quite difficult because people then go into like a white guilt protective mode and are like, yeah, oh no, like, well, that's years back. It's not me. Why are you accusing me of being racist? And it all comes from that kind of, also, I find, fear of the word racism. I feel like there's so much fear from people to even address the issue, particularly from a white perspective. Like there's this fear that if they say something, they're gonna immediately branded a racist. Yeah. And the fact is racism is a spectrum. You can say something and not be full right-wing extreme racist, but you can still do stuff. And we need to stop feeling we need to be comfortable having a conversation about that and going, you know what, I messed up. That's my bias. I did something here, and I judged someone without thinking about it. And
or I didn't think it was my issue because it happened to that person. I didn't think it was my issue, and why you're making it my issue, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But it is a human issue, and it definitely needs to be more comfortable. I think there's a role to really just listen and actually understand people's perspective and stories. That's what's first needed before just kind of overpowering it or kind of coming in and not actually listening to other people's perspectives is really important, which is what I really wanted to do here, is really just more listen and kind of engage.
Yeah.
And I don't feel any kind of like way other than I should be here to listen, engage, and really understand and want to make change and want to be a part of that. And that includes my own biases, not just the government or pushing it across onto someone else, because I think that's what white guilt comes from a bit, is this need to find someone else to blame, and that I can't have any individual blame. And it's like, no, we all have biases. Yeah. And one of the first steps is just addressing, okay, where have I messed up? Where have I maybe made a decision or had a thought that has not really been based on anything other than a stereotype or a misunderstanding? And it all comes from that. And I think I think overall people just need to be more comfortable to listen and stuff. But I think also people are unsure of how to ask questions and start those conversations.
Or if they are going to be attacked if they do.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, but it is important that people have those conversations in a healthy way and in a non-attack way, like from a white perspective. You should ask questions and try to understand, but not poke and attack. You should be open to listen and learn, and from your own mistakes as well, is what I'd say.
Yeah. Well, you know, like on the road towards like solutions, right? You know, like I mean, I think on the one hand is that like people, you know, they say, you know, oh, I don't see color.
That's not going to fix it.
It makes me cringe.
This
is a problem to not see.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm trying to say, you need to see my color, right? Because I'm proud of my blackness. And so in that educational side, like, for example, I always use that story of like the receptionist. You know, somebody comes in to, I'm looking for like this person, and she knows it's the black guy over there, but she, that guy in a white shirt. There's about 3 guys in white shirts. I'm the one with glasses. I see about 2 of them. Can you narrow it down? It's like, you know, hey, the black guy over here, that's me. I'm over here. I mean, what I'm trying to say is you don't have to call him the black guy over there. It would help if you actually knew his name. So for me, I think it starts with the humanity of knowing people. Like if this guy is the only black guy in the office and you don't know his name, right? And you can't just say, oh, you're here to see Bob? Bob's over there. Or Nikezi, whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever his name is, you know, it's a person, it's a human being. You don't have to define him by his color, but you don't have to ignore his color is my point. Anybody have any situations like that happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To try to show PC that they're trying the best to ignore the simplicities.
I'm not racist.
I'm not a racist,
friends
but
who are black.
I love that one. Oh, my black friends. Oh my God.
I got black friends.
My black friends. I got plenty of black friends.
But this is, but this is from like a morality issue. I think it stems from people, you know, not wanting to be bad, and you know, you view yourself as good. I mean, trying to do good. So if you view yourself as a good person, then you say, oh no, you don't color oh, I've got black friends, but by doing that, you forget that like Amara was saying, there's got certain biases that you might know, subconscious ones, like you do on a daily basis, just by saying that, oh, I don't care about color, you know, you could be black. That instantly, in a way, is quite offensive because you're basically saying that person, you're comparing that person to like a fake.
Well, yeah, that person doesn't matter if you only define them by their culture that you care about.
It goes, you say it feels right to say, but dependently, that's actually quite offensive.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah,
people mixing wanting to do good with racism in a way. Do you got what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah,
but you can still try to be be a good person, but not know that you're contributing to. Yeah,
like even as someone who actively has done a lot of research and has been quite aware and open to these issues and has a lot of conversations about them myself, I will still make mistakes. I will still have bias. I still need to reflect on myself and say, where can I do better? And it's just becoming comfortable going, okay, I am human. I have faults and I need to work on them, because yes, as you're saying, it's not always active intentional racism. There's a lot of racism that is through lack of education and understanding, and through kind of just being drilled with stereotypes from the media and letting them feed into your subconscious and how you deal with people. And we just need to start tackling them. And I think, that term, oh, I don't see colour, it's just kind of diminishing the whole issue. And I think it's said to try and to kind of act like racism is a thing in the past, and we don't. It really kind of removes any idea that there's any issues today. I think that's the problem, and it feeds into the problem more if you're raising your kids to not ever have a conversation about race, even your white kids, then you're going to cause problems, because they're going to grow up uneducated. They're going to grow up not knowing how to deal with issues, not understanding them, and not understanding that people are different. And as you were saying earlier about kind of like, because we're built, all of our power and wealth as a society is built on the back of colonialism and racism and slavery. It is bleeded into every aspect of our society today, into our laws, into our education, into our media, into our subconscious of how we deal with people. So pretending it's not there does not fix the problem.
No,
raising people to never discuss it will just actually make it happen again, because it's already the foundation of our society.
Right.
Exactly. That there also like is what speaks into institutional racism. So I fully agree with what Amara said there.
What about you there, Clara?
That's why I think we should be talking about it in schools, that reason exactly there. Because if you ignore it, it's not going to make it go away. And not teaching your kids is going to make it worse, because they're going to grow up thinking racism doesn't exist.
Well, they're also going to go up believing in the inferiority of another race. And that's where I think it all comes from, is because as long as they're thinking that, blacks it's all about slavery, you know what I mean? And it's not about importance, like they don't matter, so there's a reason why my parents ignored them, and I should ignore them too. And that's why it's like, once you denote from their accomplishments to history, to who we are as a people, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, that's why it's something that I'm always going to look down upon. And then we also, as Black people, are always going to feel that sense of inferiority as well, because there's nobody that we're looking up to. I mean, they'll always talk about Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, and all that, or sports figures, singers, and everything. But there are a lot of other people that shaped us as a society, as a community, that they should be elevated as well. So, I mean, so the last thing was about, like, that's what I think was the importance about the monuments, because, I mean, like here in Liverpool, they're finally working on the Nelson Mandela, plinth and everything else like that. But, you're getting people where, like down in Bristol, they attacked that monument or vandalized a monument. Or here in Liverpool, they were talking about, hey, we should tear down like that monument to like some slave owner or a slave trader or whatever and stuff like that. So that last question is that how important, I mean, it's a part of history. Those people were important to the industry, right? Say of Liverpool, whatever, and stuff like that. But it was on the backs of slaves, and it was what they have done. But should we hide from that history? Should we move the statue into a museum? I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't think that it should be removed, because go to that ignorance. It's for me, similar to the sea color and such. It's just like it's just like you're like whitewashing, or just like washing away, like in a way, something that was there and saying that it never happened, it never existed. So I don't think it should go away. I like the idea. Obviously, there might be other ideas that I haven't thought about, but I do like, for one, like the one you just said there, the idea of the museums is one, and where you're still like contributing to the history and saying this is what happened. Even I think it was Banksy picture, an art piece of people, like it could be a statue, a piece of people, dragging the statue down. You know what I mean? Would be the history from when it was put up to to the change made in 2020. So like it's good to record history as it's happening. So I wouldn't say to erase it. If anything, it's really important to show it, to say, hey, look, this is the way it was, and so much has changed, and this is the way out, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, any last thoughts that you guys want to have, like on ways of moving forward or continuing the conversation, or and everything. Give us that kind of like profoundness from the youth and educate us as adults, showing us lower child shall lead them. Amara, you had a quote from something that I thought was really nice.
Oh, I forgot the specifics of the quote, but. It was saying about the wisdom of the elderly and the passion of the youth coming together to combine forces when we want to create progress and push forward. I think it was from a Common song by Common.
Yeah.
I think
sick. I like Common.
that's what I remember. I don't know why it came to mind.
Are you trying to say that there should be some more intergenerational connections?
Yeah, because we should be learning from the past civil rights movements, the movements in the UK that no one knows about. Like, there's so much Black British history to the civil rights history. It's not just all American, and we should be learning from what worked, learning from what didn't work, to deal with these modern issues, modern form of racism as it is today. And I think, touching on the statues, I think we need to stop idolizing historical figures as perfect or horrible villains. I think those statues were good to remove in some ways, because I mean, I didn't know about the Bristol statue until it was torn down. So arguably, I feel like we've been more educated by the fact that it's been torn down.
Yeah, because once you learned who he was.
I feel like I've learned more about the fact that Bristol's history was built on someone who did horrible stuff and was a slave trader. I think something like that is better off in a museum where you can have all the right information about it and you can really think about the historical figure overall. There's so much controversy over the vandalism of Winston Churchill's statue, but I think the point is enough people don't know that the fact that he was not perfect. He did great things for us in the war, yes, but he also was extremely racist and contributed to the deaths of millions of Indian people, if I'm correct. And we need to know that. We need to stop idolizing historical figures and recognize that, yes, they may do good things, but they may also do bad things, and we need to learn from them.
Yeah, I mean, our founding fathers of America, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, slave owners.
Yeah, exactly. They're not perfect. So why do we need to make this idea of a perfect story like they were complete heroes or they were complete villains? They did some good stuff, but we also need to recognize that they didn't do all good stuff, and that we need to learn.
And I think by idolize, and then it adds to that superiority sort of complex, like accomplishments look at the great accomplishments that were made by this person or wherever else. Then it's if that's just constantly, you don't show the whole the whole person, both their good and bad. Then as you're learning now in school, because these are the things that you're taught in school, very young person, a child. As you're learning that, and your coaches are the same as that person, then you're like, hey, we're more superior to yours. And then on the flip side, if then like Black culture and other people of colors cultures things about like the full like slave trade rather than also the accomplishments that are made, and then you feel inferior. So that also it's superior and complex.
But idolizing white heroes and not giving the complex truth that they are not heroes, they did good stuff and bad stuff, and we are over-representing this idea of just the bad side of history. I think someone put it really well as well, that Black history is not slavery. Slavery interrupted Black history. It's a part of Black history, and we need to be educated on beforehand and the good parts as well, because we need those positive historical figures that are there. They're just not spoken about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Slavery,
that.
colonialism needs to be taught, but so does the positive side of Black history, the figures that have contributed to society and as part of what's built the good side of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Blew my mind on that one. All right, Clara, what do you got? Clara's like, I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
They both, no, they both hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, they have.
Literally. I think it's just that. I think it all goes back to education and, you know, educating ourselves, educating our children and talking about it in school and making sure it's a conversation. Whether we're uncomfortable to talk about it or not, it's something that needs to be discussed in order to move forward.
It's like
Hands down.
it's like they say, history is told by the victors, and you know, and everything. And it's kind of like, it was interesting when you said like white heroes, because in that aspect, it's like, it's nothing wrong with there being heroes of all different colors and shades. I mean, I'm saying in this particular conversation about Black heroes, but there are Asians, there are Chinese, there are Indians, you know, all of that other kind of stuff. But the main thing about it is that history is history, and it should be taught, and it's not. And so at the end of the day, speaking from the young people, I just think education is the key here. I think conversation is the key. And I just want to thank you guys for joining me here in this roundtable to add your voices to the story. As you know, when this goes out, you know, the voices could continue in the chat roll down below and everything. And I would like to encourage you to follow these young people. You know, I mean, don't stalk them, but, you know, hey, I know Blue has a website.
I do.
So tell us what it is, Blue.
Oh, you want me to say it? Sorry.
I was trying to exit smoothly.
You was trying to do a nice segue right there, and
You ruined it, bro. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So my website's bluesaints.com. Instagram is Blue Saints Artist. Facebook is Blue Saints Artist. I'm at Twitter is Blue_Saints.
Yeah, and definitely, you know, and follow Blue, because he's got some things going on education-wise and everything. Amara, I mean, like, please promote that YouTube channel that the young people that you're involved with are working on, and how to find that.
Yeah, so our YouTube channel is MYM, which is Million Youth Media. The whole purpose of it was to try and build towards 1 million young voices coming together so that we can promote a platform that has different narratives. We basically showcase a lot of short films and content made by young people, by ourselves, our team, and also by young people all around the world. We really try to use the platform to showcase different narratives on issues that are important to young people, and really just showcasing the work of filmmakers and actors and artists as well on our platform.
But
and
also
the views and the also from Liverpool. Yeah,
I was gonna say
need more northern voices up there as well. That's the one.
All right. I interrupted you. Sorry, but I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
You're right. It was a good point.
Okay. All right. So, Clara, yeah. So, I mean, you know, what about you?
I didn't have much to promote but myself. So yeah, I've just got my Instagram.
Well, you could promote the youth theater.
Yeah, that actually there. Thank you.
All right. Well,
we've got we've got the youth theatre, which I am part of, which is the Liverpool Royal Court Youth Theatre, and we provide a space for a lot of actors, you know, young people to come there. We do summer shows, we do workshops, but because of COVID, it's on hold at the moment. Mm-hmm. But when that's over, if you're young, ages from like, I don't know, 11 to 24, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just come and join us. It's a good time. So there's that. We're on Facebook as the Royal Court Youth Theatre, and we're on Instagram as well as the same, I believe. And there's me. There's my Instagram, Clara Mbirimi, and I just like to talk and spread things on my stories. So go on there if you want to have a chat. Yeah.
All right, cool. See, look at that. Everything is about promotion, guys. But it's all well good. You've been watching Big Condo Radio. So Continue the conversation and everything. And please like and subscribe. And I want to thank my guests once again, Clara, Amara, and Blue. Thank you for joining in this conversation with me here today. I'm Chase Johnston-Lynch, and we are out of here. All right.
Woo.